I kind of covered in my first testimony that I don't really have any addictions other than chocolate, caffeine. I don't drink, I don't do drugs, I don't do any pharmaceuticals. I can say that I was slightly reliant on high blood pressure pills, and they were trying to get me on some medication for diabetes. So I wasn't addicted per se. I think that I had a problem with food because I was really depressed. I wasn't taking really good care of myself, and he did pull me out of that darkness, that depression. It was like spiritual warfare, and it took me understanding my self-worth, not in a egotistical or narcissistic way, but realizing that God's creation is meant for each person to honor the gift that they're given, and that's your life, number one, and that you are worthy. No matter what form you take on, you are worthy, and I lack a lot of self-worth. So he pulled me out of that darkness. It took a while. It took a long while actually, but he did help me tremendously. It took a lot of self-awareness and just being grateful for the gifts that he's given me, and belief in myself, but also, value in others as well. But as far as illness, I was reliant on high blood pressure pills, and they were, like I said, trying to get me on other pills to treat diabetes. And instead of me just getting to the heart of the matter, I eventually got off of the blood pressure pills. I've been tested since then. It's been a few years now, and I'm back to normal. I've discovered, healthier alternatives for the high blood pressure. Take garlic tablets and celery, and that was a healthy, natural alternative, and it's maintained me whenever I do notice a spike in my blood pressure at all. But I haven't noticed the same rapid heartbeat since I had been saved by him that day when I was in the car and my heart seized up. Ever since that day, my heart it doesn't flutter, or it doesn't go into the rapid heartbeat like it used to. So I got off of the high blood pressure pills and all other medications that I was on. It wasn't like an exorbitant amount, but it was enough where the side effects were starting to show and of the medication. And so I'm very glad that I'm no longer on them. I'm a much happier person, and I feel more balanced than I was. But like I said, it's like a partnership. You've got to respect your body, and what you put in it. You've got to be careful about what you put in it in order for it to be a win-win combination. As far as the Lord, I see people trying to make him out to be a mega pastor, making money off of people. I see that, and these hate groups that have been formed to form propaganda and false allegations rebel against the Lord. Not much different than what they did 2,000 plus years ago. He actually supports a lot of people. When somebody's in need, it's not just a few dollars. He guides them to resources, but he also literally supports them. And it's not for an exchange. It's not like, let's make a deal. You do this, I'll give you that. It's not like that. It's kind of amazing, but it's sad at the same time, because I see how the hate mongers are, and they make these false allegations against him. Nobody's ever taken money from anybody against their will. Everything that has ever been given is just truly because they gave. And if there's any stories out there, it's just that there's stories that people create. Whenever they, I guess, have regret, that's when they make up stories. I don't know. I don't know why anybody would regret Lord RayEl. He is magnificent. He is a light unto all. But yes, I've watched him give to other people who are in need, who needed help with their housing, utilities, food, whatever the case is. He literally provided for them. But the lies that people tell, against him and his clergy are just a little very exaggerated, and I hope that God exposes those people later, because they scare other people away, or try to scare other people away, when they could be the very people receiving the same kind of help from the Lord. So I think that the gross exaggerations and lies will probably not be remedied until judgment time, but that's fine with me. I have faith that God will contend with that through Lord RayEl and in the ways that he sees fit. And I've seen false allegations about ISIS. The Lord couldn't be more against bloodshed. He's against the bloodshed. He's just upset that man chooses war over peace. It's not hard to figure out. He does what he does through God, and it just so happens that the events taking place at the end time are through the gravitational force of Nibiru. That's God's hand. He's saying, you're not obeying my son. You don't love my son. You're not accepting my son. So my wrath is now upon you. And I hope people figure that out. God can determine if this reset button takes place or not. He's the one that makes that decision. His son's just obedient. He's a servant to God too. He's the most humble of all. The lessons that the Lord had taught me is mostly about not buying into my lack of self-worth that I had for a number of years. I had bad relationships, bad friendships, treated poorly at work by my, leadership in the workplace. Even some peers, just because I maybe wasn't the kind of gal that went out to lunch with everybody and went drinking after hours. I've always been kind of straight-laced and really balanced because I wanted to be an example to my kids. Kids are already going to find ways to get into trouble and experiment. It's bad enough. It makes it even worse if you got a mom or a dad that, sets the example that it's okay. So I was kind of living in a fishbowl in a way, but, still kind of suffering repercussions for being godly. I didn't fit. I was a puzzle piece that did not fit in normal society. I was working for a corporation that was taking homes away from people instead of helping them. And that's just, number one sign, get away. Run as fast as you can. You're in the wrong line of work. They had court cases where my notations in the computer system of each customer account were vigilant to help the customers. And I actually got talked to about that by one of the higher ups. That they saw that. They saw that I'm for the people. They didn't like it, so they held on to me as long as they could, but they knew that I was not cut out to serve the darkness that they stood for. So yes, my lesson was getting away from the darkness and serving God instead of, the chains of society. I was literally at that point where I was getting nosebleeds, and that's where my high blood pressure was coming from, is doing something that I knew my heart was against, that God was against. And, if I didn't let go of all of those things and start new, I wouldn't have gotten better. It would have just got worse, worse, and worse, unless I sold my soul, and then it would be a temporary remedy until judgment day and true regret thereafter. So don't fall for the temptations, people. I know that you're being offered, notoriety, could be record contracts, could be, television time, could be just a bigger paycheck, but see it for what it is. Look around you. Ends here. Okay? What are you going to do? The only time that the Lord's really tried to make me own up to a truth is through his regent, who acts as his right hand and voice. the many years of growing and maturing in my time serving through the EOC. And, he wants people to judge one another equally and fairly. So he's not going to be partial to any one person. He's going to, listen to what you've got to say, watch your actions, watch other people, but he's going to take perspectives that you never thought were even possible and get you to understand that perspective. Wars can be prevented if people thought things through properly and thought 10 paces ahead. If people just learn, how to actually remedy and walk through God's actual will instead of doing stupid, clumsy, horrible things to one another and saying, oh, well, God gave me will to do what I want to, and or it must be God's will. No, that's you abusing God's will. The Lord always keeps me on track. Always. If I start falling off the rails, he either gets me back on through somebody in the clergy, or he makes me see something to make me realize, that I need to change. And that's the fun part of this. We're all growing and changing constantly. It's like a neat little challenge, because first it's scary, but then you figure out, I could do it. I could make that change. It wasn't as bad as I thought. In fact, I love myself a little bit more because I was willing to change for the better in an effort to serve him properly in all the ways that I want to, that we should. And I'm still learning. I could probably do a lot better, but I look forward to the remaining time that we have in eternity with our Lord.
Those within the Ecumenical Order of Christ are pleased and honored to provide everyone with the whole truth behind history, religion, and end-time prophecies. Through our teachings and testimonies, each clergy member is dedicated to seeking out all matters and presenting the unadulterated evidences clearly, with the divine guidance of the returned Christ, Lord RayEl. We strive to be a light in this dark world, and you can too by helping spread these messages. Many of us have given up our comfortable lives in today's society, and we now live through the kindness and generosity of others in order to pursue the higher path of knowledge. If you wish to continue learning more truths and would like to help us continue our mission, you can do so by sending even a small donation to sanctuaryinterfaithisrael@gmail.com on PayPal. Check us out online at sanctuaryinterfaith.org, LordRayEl.org, and ArmageddonBroadcastNetwork.tv. Don't forget to join us online at the International Congregation of Lord RayEl on both Facebook and VK. Please be sure to check out all of the links in the description field. Remember to love God and each other. Thank you, and God bless.